my unhealthy relationship with alcohol. Right. So I might have referenced this in one or two videos, but I don't drink anymore for the pure reason whenever I do drink alcohol, I always end up really sad. And I feel like this topic is especially relevant today because it is St. Patrick's Day, you know, and a big thing in Irish culture, I suppose, would be just probably going to a parade first, just going to a parade if you're young, and then getting absolutely shit-faced drunk at a pub after. Or just the pub part, maybe spend the whole day in the pub. I don't know. Kind of depends on how seriously you take alcohol. And a major reason why I have such a negative relationship with alcohol is because my mother used forced me to drink with her when I was like a child. And now I'm kind of cursed with this thing. Whenever I drink alcohol, I always end up sad, and I think it's the correlation between the trauma I have surrounding alcohol. Like, my mother, like, she didn't want to drink alone, basically. So even though I was the youngest and I was around like 7, 8 at the time, she'd get me to make her an alcohol, right? And it was always in a disposable cup, ice, vodka, Coke. Or it was like Bacardi and Coke a good bit, to be fair. It was more Bacardi than vodka, I say. And it was always a disposable cup. And then she'd get me to make one. She'd be like, make another one for yourself. And then I would kind of be taking sips of it, and it tasted absolutely fucking awful. But as time went on, I got more used to the taste. Like, Bacardi is like very, very strong. It's like 47% volume. Yeah, no, it's exactly for the one we used to get anyway. And she was basically pressuring me to drink it. And then there's once where I was refusing to drink it, so she actually basically she kind of hit the cup so it'd go down my throat, like. And then I had developed an unhealthy relation with it because my mum, this is when we had the whole like falling out thing, and I wasn't that close with her anymore, and she was pissed off at me and I was trying to get away from her, so she started drinking with my other sister. So she'd be around 14, 15 around this time, so more socially acceptable age to be drinking, but still not a good thing, you know. So, and then I had started to use alcohol to numb my feelings, and when I was 12, I was able to drink straight Bacardi, which is really, really, really concerning. It was to the point where I just was drinking it straight, not for the enjoyable factor, but it would, like, the burn in my throat would distract me from my feelings. And I did this, like, coping mechanism that I would basically use alcohol as a way to stop crying, because every time I cried, something not good things happen when you cry in that household. Crying it's honestly seen as a war crime. So it was this whole thing where I had this coping mechanism. I would absolutely slap the shit out of myself first, hatred, and then like I'd hit myself so hard my face would like go stinging, and then I'd down a bit of Bacardi to like get the burn in my throat, and then that would kind of numb me, and it would distract me from what was actually like making me want to cry. So yeah, so every time I've drank outside of the setting of my childhood home, I always just end up crying. Except for my 17th birthday, I had a good night and I had around 2 drinks. But that was just because I was surrounded by all the people that I love and care about. But like, other than that, alcohol, I have a very bad relationship with it. Not that I'm addicted to it necessarily. Like, I never had an actual dependency on it, but I did have a dependency on it. Like, I would use it to avoid my emotions, and like whenever I was sad, I'd just start drinking a bit of alcohol to try to numb my pain and distract myself from said pain. But I'm kind of past that because I don't need to stop myself from crying anymore, and I suppose that's a huge thing that is probably making me more healthy, that I can actually kind of feel my emotions now. I can't really talk about my feelings that much with people. But if I cry now, I'm able to cry now without any extreme consequences. So that's a good thing. And I suppose I should say, like, I do feel sad sometimes, and I don't really like talking about my feelings because I just don't like it, but I don't think I'll ever be one of those people who can willingly just go out to a pub and just drink and be happy. And in a way, it is kind of a blessing because that's the type of thing that does catch up with you years in the future, that your health's affected, that you're gaining weight and stuff like that. And it's also probably isn't the best psychologically if the only thing that's making you happy about your life is getting into a state where you can barely even function and you can barely remember it the next day. And I feel like I will save myself a lot of memories and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, alcohol is short-term happiness. I'm all about that long-term happiness. I'm so cool. It's a social experience I've missed out on, and I've already missed out on so many. And every time I've gone to a pub, except my birthday, something bad always ends up happening. I'm acting like I've gone a lot, but not really, because it's the type of thing where it's like, listen, I'm always one who assesses risk, right? And I'm someone who's hyper aware of how many dodgy, creepy people are in this world, right? And it's a thing where it's like, I know that a lot of people in a pub, if they could slip something into my drink, they would. If they see a girl who's way too drunk, they will take advantage of that. I'm not saying all people are like this, but I'm saying more people are like that than they'd like to admit. Like, the things people would be doing if there wasn't any laws and they could get away with it. Like, I'm not sure of the exact study, but there's been like studies that like have gone to college campuses, right? And they basically asked, would you rape someone if you could get away with it? And most people would say no when the word rape is involved. But then when you switch the wording of the question a slight bit, an uncomfortable percentage of men said they would. And I'm not saying it in a way that like, oh, women wouldn't rape people either. I'm saying it that it was in the study, men were the one who were asked. I don't trust people when I'm sober and able-minded, so I especially don't trust people when I'm on a substance that like kind of inhibits my senses, and it's the type of thing, it kind of goes against all the lessons I've learned in life. The way my father has tried to relate to me in his very weird perception of reality, he has I would partially consider him an alcoholic. And for this year's Christmas, we weren't speaking for this year's Christmas, but he had left me a letter, and what he was basically saying in this letter is, did you go out to a pub? Did you have alcohol? Or did you have a drink at home? This whole letter was, I miss you, or something like that, and did you have alcohol? And I know that was his weird way of trying to relate to me, because that's one of the few things that brings him happiness, I suppose. But I just read that and I kind of looked down at it and I kind of took pity, I suppose, because it was the type of thing where it's like, if that's the only thing you're asking me about Christmas, that's the most pathetic shit I've heard in a while, and like, I want to live the type of life where I don't need any substances to try to make me feel happy. I want to just have genuine happiness. And I know there is ups and downs in life, and there are moments where I won't be happy. My Christmas was decent. I'm not a fan of Christmas, but I liked Christmas because like there's family members I like that I don't like really live with, and 2 of them came over. So that was nice, and one was extended family, and she's honestly a very lovely woman, So it was nice to see her, and a cousin of mine who's moved out now, very, very cool guy. So it was also nice to see him, you know. Big thing about me growing older is me realizing that I have an unhealthy relationship. I'm starting to like understand myself more, and I'm starting to understand how I function and how to feel healthier and better about myself. And it's also the type of thing where it's like I take the gym relatively seriously, and it would fuck up my progress, and don't have a lot of free time anyway, so I don't see a point in wasting my free time going to pubs when I don't enjoy it. Like if people I know, they love going to pubs and stuff like that, I don't necessarily care, because at the end of the day, do whatever makes you happy. You know, that isn't where I find happiness particularly, but it's up to them. You know, do whatever makes you happy, unless it starts affecting other people, especially if it starts affecting me, then I won't be too happy about it, like, you know. But I've become a much healthier version of myself, and that is, I suppose, in that it's reflected my lack of need for alcohol. You know, like I would never want to be one of those people who need a drink to feel better. And of course, a drink in moderation is absolutely okay. You know, in your 20s, you can get away with drinking every weekend, I say. But it's the type of thing, it just catches up with you in your 30s or 40s, 50s onwards especially. But what I'm basically trying to say, alcohol and me don't get along. And I've accepted that, and I've officially quit. You know? Bye bye.